What's up, what's up, what's up? As always, he's Dave.
He's Dave.
This is the Sports Rant. So, a few things to cover this week. We're going to hit the NFL first. A lot of key games this past weekend. Obviously, if you saw our show last week, you heard me say that if Giants lost to Philly, it was over. So, not only did they lose, they got stomped.
They got monkey stomped, son.
Stomped.
They got monkey stomped.
Okay?
Yeah.
I said that was Philly's game to put a stamp on, let everybody know that the Super Bowl hangover was over. The defense was going to come out strong. That's exactly what they did. 4 sacks, 10 hits overall on Eli. And, of course, the media. Barkley is a beast. He's showing what he's capable of. But, again, because that messed up offensive line, Barkley has to do a lot of that on his own. They're not opening up any holes for him at all. Yeah. That being said, the media and the fans are now all chanting for Eli to leave. You know what? At the end of the day, they want Eli gone. Let Eli be gone. Let him sign somewhere else.
He's going to Jacksonville.
He can't do worse than Bortles.
He's going to Jacksonville.
Let him go somewhere else. Even Denver. Denver's got a nice line there. Got a decent receiving core and a nice running game. Yeah. And watch him win. Okay? Not saying he's going to hand him a Super Bowl, but watch him win. Right. Meanwhile, who knows who's going to be under center for the Giants in the future. Now,
I mean, a kid from Oregon.
He's
trash.
We'll see.
So we'll see.
Okay, Washington.
What about him?
Washington put a stamp on that Carolina game. Josh Norman finally showed up for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, 4 tackles overall, forced fumble. Mm-hmm. He was in on another play.
And an interception.
Yep. So they need him to do that, especially this week now going up against the Jekyll and Hyde Cowboys.
Well, nobody's more Jekyll and Hyde than the Redskins. I don't know if you know this or not. The past 2 games we're 2-2. The past 4 games we're 2-2 the past 4 games. 1-1 in the past 2 games. 3-3 in the past 6 games, and it goes back basically 19 games.
Exactly.
With 500. This is the Jay Gruden era, called the era of mediocrity. We are 500. I thoroughly anticipate getting our asses kicked this Sunday by the Dallas Cowboys. They feeling themselves. You know, that's one of the games I wanted to talk about. So we go right into that.
All right, let's go right into it.
Dallas, you know, they tore a mud hole in
Jacksonville.
Had Jalen Ramsey looking like the half assistant he was after practice. after the game, not talking 2 words. You know, keep that same energy, son. You all amped up, calling people out. Dak toasted all of you, and they ain't got nothing to say.
And you know, to be fair, Jacksonville does have probably one of the best pass rushing defensive ends in the league, but let's be honest here. Eventually teams are going to figure you out, and it seems like the last couple of teams that play Jacksonville have figured out how to play against them.
Well, I'll tell you what, a mutual friend of ours, or a mutual acquaintance of ours, I was talking to, and he was saying, he made a pretty good point. He said, you know, they're fast. They're fast from side to side. They're fast getting through gaps, but they're light in the ass. So if you can pound them and pound them and pound them, they're going to crumble. And that's what happened, basically. Well, they don't have the offense to keep up with anybody.
No.
They're on the field all the time. They can't stand 350-pound dudes just running through them.
And this is going to be another team that's going to regret extending their quarterback. Blake Bortles is not a starting quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion.
Did they extend him?
They had a 3-year extension before the season. So another mistake by another team that obviously in a very shallow quarterback pool as far as free agents are concerned. They did not have a high draft pick this year because they did so well last season. And it's going to bite them in the you-know-what. Another team that's still having quarterback problems, Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen gets knocked out in that game with the lead. And who do the Bills insert? Peterman. Why is Peterman still in the league?
The double interception.
He is not even a backup quarterback. He should not be in the league. Buffalo should find themselves another answer at the number 2 spot because he's just going to cost them games. And now it came out that Allen may be out for at least 2 or 3 more weeks.
Yeah. They should go and get Kaepernick. I mean, I'll be honest with you. He can't do no worse.
If you give Kaepernick a decent offensive line, okay, a strong running game and a decent passing game, he can work something for you. Absolutely. I'm not going to get into political nonsense because that's not what this show is about. Let's just go on his skill. The skill set is there, but he has to have the line to protect him.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go against you here. I don't think the line is going to make that much of a difference because his skill set isn't dropping back and delivering dimes. His skill set is dropping back 1-2 reads tops, especially since he's been out of football for forever.
Right.
And especially since he's coming in late and doesn't have a chance to.
Well, he excelled best at the run-pass option.
Right.
So it goes to show you that if your team is not set to run that kind of offense, bringing in Kaepernick isn't going to do anything for you. But if you're telling me who's better, Kaepernick or Peterson, and give me Kaepernick.
Dave are better than fucking Peterson. He's horrible. He's the worst. He did throw a nice little touchdown to Zay Jones. That was nice, but whatever.
That's about it. That's about it.
So what's up with Kansas City and New England?
Kansas City
game of the week,
without question. Actually, I'm gonna put that up there. As good as that was, I'm gonna have to tie that with Green Bay and San Fran on Monday night, just because of how both games ended. Okay. Now, obviously, KC and New England are the better teams here,
right?
And that was a back and forth duel in the second half. Anyone who's watching that game, you thought it was over after the first half. It was 21-9. New England, they figured Mahomes out. He threw 2 picks, one of them in the end zone for a touchback, and it was going to be over. What did Mahomes do? 4 touchdowns in the second half.
One of them, he did it like 7 seconds. Like as soon as he got on the field,
God.
70-yard bomb
Gone.
to Tyreek.
Gone.
That's why he threw a beer in his face.
But then again, at the end of the day, between Belichick, between Brady,
you know what's happening.
Between Gronk, who they thought they had tied up all game long, the majority of his yards came on the final 2 drives.
They just didn't use him.
They just didn't use him.
They have to.
Okay, they slept on him. They slept on him. Great game. Tip your hat off to New England for winning that game. But you know what? Tip your hat even more so to Pat Mahomes. Because in that game, you literally had the old line and the young line, and a lot of respect to Tom Brady for crossing that field at the end of the game.
Yeah, because he's a hater.
And shaking Mahomes' hands, acknowledging what this kid is potential.
Because he said that's not his job. He said it. He's come out and said it. I remember Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, perfect. Fuck out of here.
And also, like I said, the Green Bay San Fran game.
Let me tell you why it's not the same. Because Green Bay is basically fighting for their life. If they didn't have Aaron Rodgers, they would be 1-4 right now. All right, they can't stop anybody. You know, the Redskins put up 21 points on them in the first fucking half of the game. And they facing a team whose quarterback, you know, he doing something stupid, not trying to play a tough guy.
Well, maybe I just came across the wrong thing. I'm talking from an excitement standpoint because everybody thought that game was over with 2 minutes to go.
All right,
and here comes Aaron Rodgers, and to quote the great Stephen A. Smith, Aaron Rodgers, who is a bad man,
great Stephen A. Smith,
and orchestrate two drives to tie and to put his field goal kicker in position to win the game. Yeah. That was just awesome.
Guy missed almost every field goal.
I mean, if someone needed to get a monkey off his back.
Oh, but did he? Okay. He hit like 7 of them, running some crazy.
It was nuts. It was nuts. But you know,
those are great.
Hats off to Aaron Rodgers because I don't think anybody else is orchestrating that.
But it was clearly game number 2.
Oh yeah,
in that week.
Yes.
Kansas City and
New England takes the cake this week.
All
right. So now, I want to talk a little bit about college football.
Let's go.
So we have right now a pretty decent race in the top 8. Mm-hmm. All right. Obviously, you got Bama number 1.
Right.
I mean, as long as Nick Saban's going to be in Alabama, I think they're always going to be in contention for the national title.
As they should.
You got Ohio State number 2 with Georgia losing LSU this week. Georgia drops down to number 9. Mm-hmm. You got Clemson at number 3, Notre Dame at 4.
Right.
Then to round out, LSU at 5, Michigan at 6, Texas at 7, and Georgia's at 8 now, not 9. My apologies.
All right, so let's just jump into the contenders. The undefeateds, all right?
The undefeateds. You got Alabama,
Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and NC State, surprisingly, but we're not even going to talk about them right now. But now, they're really, Alabama only has one obstacle to go through, and that's LSU. All right, so they're pretty much set to be undefeated.
Yes.
They have the SEC championship game. Who are they going to play? Probably Georgia or somebody.
Well, Georgia would have to win out, in my opinion. Right now, if it's going to be between for the SEC title, it's probably going to be Alabama and LSU, the way the standings are at this point.
But they play in the same conference.
They play in the
Alabama, but I'm talking about when they go to the SEC championship game. The SEC championship game is usually Georgia and Alabama. That's what it's been the past couple of years. I don't see any reason for it to be differently. Florida may have a little say in it.
They'd have to run the tables and hope for a loss from someone else.
Right. So we'll see about that. But if Alabama goes through LSU, which I'm sure they will, then, by the way, LSU finally has a decent quarterback.
Yes.
See what happens when you get a decent quarterback? Insane. Ohio State, they're undefeated.
Pretenders.
They're pretenders.
They're pretenders in my. Their defense is horrible, especially with Bosa being out for the year. They really have no pass rush, and to me, I think their matchup this week with they play NC State.
Okay.
They play NC State. NC State is flying below the radar. Okay, I don't think a lot of people are looking at how good North Carolina State's defense is right now. Their quarterback, I can't think of his name.
No,
has
no. They don't play NC State. They play coming up. Their two games that they have to worry about are Michigan and Michigan State.
You're absolutely right.
Big Ten.
You're absolutely right. My apologies. They play Purdue. That's a throwaway game for them this week. Clemson, I'm thinking about. Clemson plays NC State. But back on Ohio State real quick. I'm sorry. Ohio State, those are their two pitfalls right there. Well, the two Michigans here, MSU and Michigan.
Right.
Those are the two pitfalls because Michigan being 6-1, only dropping that first game of the year to Notre Dame, they've really come on strong. These last 6 games, you gotta hand it to them.
Surprisingly,
and
Harbaugh got in somebody's ass.
Harbaugh got in someone's ass big time, but also they went into Penn State and came out with a win. So now, if they should run the table, that final game with the Buckeyes, if they should pull that out, Ohio State is out.
Yeah, they're out. They're out.
Okay, and Michigan will have written their ticket to the college football playoffs if they win that game.
Do you
Okay.
like Ohio State?
No. I don't like them. They're gonna lose to at least one of them, and they're gonna be out of the picture. Clemson, getting back in Clemson, that's the team that plays NC State this week, and Clemson's defense is suspect also. Not so much their offense; they can score with the best of them, but NC State's defense is pretty strong. Their quarterback has thrown for over 1,200 yards so far this year. They're not pushovers, okay? I think you're looking at a potential upset when they play Clemson this week, especially considering, that Clemson may still have home field on that one, but you look at a lot of situations where the team that's supposed to win should win, and they always get upset. I mean, look at last week. Everybody was picking Georgia over LSU. LSU went in and took care of business.
Yeah, they took care of business.
Okay?
They took care of business.
Notre Dame, on the other hand. Notre Dame, I'm a big Irish fan.
Right.
Okay? They, too, are one of the undefeated teams.
Is there any game that worries you as far as you go?
As far as I'm concerned, the game that worries me at this point is USC.
Really?
USC, because for some strange reason, Southern Cal always plays them tough. All right? The same way Pittsburgh almost gave them their first loss of the season this past weekend. USC always plays them tough. So that's the biggest thing. And to me, going forward, Brian Kelly. I'm not worried about Syracuse. I think Brian Kelly's biggest obstacle right now is keeping this team motivated, keeping them on point for each and every game, and not looking past anyone, because I think that's what happened this past weekend with Pittsburgh. Ian Book, as good as he's been for the last 4 games, I should say the 3 games prior to this past weekend, he looked really good, and then all of a sudden you go run into Pittsburgh and very shaky.
I had him pretty high on my college quarterback list until the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and he was looking pretty shaky.
No, he looked pretty shaky.
I think they started to read the headlines and know the name, man. I think
they may be feeling themselves a little too much.
I think so, man.
So we'll see what happens. They're on a bye week now, and we'll see what goes on with the rest of the college football playoffs. Those standings will be coming out soon.
LSU got Bama coming up. Not directly, but they have them coming up on the schedule. That's their only pitfall that I see.
Now, the bigger game this week, in my opinion, outside of the top four, okay, I should say the top three, because, again, Notre Dame's off. Michigan and Michigan State, that's huge. That's huge. If Harbaugh wants to put his stamp as the Wolverines head coach and bringing that team back to prominence, you have to win this game. You can't lose, especially if you think a couple of seasons ago, that last second, what was it, a block kick that Michigan State ran back for a touchdown.
I forgot. And
all those fans, you shocked isn't the word. Even I watched that game going, what the hell just happened? You can't lose this game, especially if you want to be considered to be in the running for the college football playoffs. So absolutely got to win this game. The rest of their season up until the Ohio State game should be pretty easy for them. So let's see what happens. Okay? All right. So that's basically on college football. Now, let's talk about our two teams.
Is this opening night for y'all too?
This is opening night. NBA, actually, opening night was last night. Yeah. NBA, Boston took care of business. I don't think there's any question with a healthy Kyrie and a healthy Gordon Hayward that Boston should run the tables in the East and probably win about 60 games, okay?
Yeah, they're going to the
Philly's going to be up there, Toronto's going to be up there, but Boston should run the tables on the East. And of course, you had the other huge matchup, OKC and Golden State. Golden State winning by about 8 points from what I saw, and that's
close. It was close.
That's without Russell Westbrook.
It was close for a minute.
It was
close.
So
it was close.
You gotta wonder.
Melo, the loser off their team.
Yeah. So you gotta wonder. I know it's only the first game of the season. You gotta wonder what OKC's chances are as far as seeding when it comes later in the year when they're gearing up for the playoffs. Because if they're able to play Golden State that well and keep themselves within striking distance, anything is possible as long as you keep a game close. It only takes a block here, good defense there, grabbing the boards when you're supposed to grab them, and you can turn a game on that.
Let me educate you on something, my brother. As long as Russell Westbrook is on that team, they're not beating anybody. Plain and simple. But I will say this: Golden State did get Boogie Cousins, another loser. So maybe their loserness will take each other out.
His point production and what have you aside, he does tend to draw a lot of fouls, unnecessarily so.
He's got play within the game.
He's got the Rasheed Wallace team.
but Rasheed would play team ball.
Yes, he would. The moment Boogie feels he's not being incorporated into the overall scheme enough, he's going to give up.
He's a millennial.
So, there goes that word again.
Yeah.
So now, your Knicks, my Bulls, who, again, if you saw last week, he's not predicting anything better than 21-61 for his Knicks.
Tops.
I'm saying 27-28 wins tops for the Bulls. And when you look at the starting lineups, obviously Porzingis is still hurt. You never know when he's going to come back. Should he come back, what is he going to be worth? Okay, because if anybody's been keeping up, the Knicks did not extend him, which is actually a pretty smart move. Again, not knowing how he's going to respond from this injury.
And you give us $10 million worth of more of cap room to sign somebody who's ultimately never going to come to the Knicks.
No.
They don't get free agents.
They're not.
New Yorkers get that out your
head.
I
know everybody hoping that Durant comes next year. I don't see it coming. Okay, Durant's either going to go to the Lakers or the Clippers. He's going to stay in sunny California.
Exactly.
That's it, bottom line. I don't see him going to the East.
He already shown his heart by joining the evil empire.
There you go. Well, the other evil empire, because truth be told, the Yankees are the first one.
Well,
so the Knicks starting five is projected to be what this year?
Trey Burke, Frank Ntilikina,
Ntilikina as a strong forward.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
He's 6'6", 200 pounds. We're going to get destroyed. Oh, my God. It's going to be beautiful, horrible basketball. We got Tim Hardaway. Never seen a shot he didn't like. My man Lance Thomas, the only hard worker on the... Just think about this. Lance Thomas is the longest tenured Knick. How the fuck did that happen? And we got Enes Kanter, who I like.
Enes Kanter has a lot of heart. You got to give it to him.
I like him.
His defense may not be the best, but to me, if you think back to the great Knick teams of the late '80s and '90s, he embodies that.
He's a soldier.
He's a soldier. He's not going to take your crap. He doesn't care who you are, how long you've been in the league. That's his court. That's his lane. And you're going to have to battle him every time, So I do respect that out of Kanter.
Basically, I'm just waiting for Trey Burke to get into the lineup and Alonzo Trier to get into the lineup and see how that goes.
We'll see. Now, for the Bulls starting five, it's projected to be Chris Dunn, Levine at the other guard, Holiday at the three. Well, remember, Parker got benched. Parker got benched, so it's probably going to be Holiday at the forward. At the three, you got Portis at the four because Markkanen is still injured. And then, of course, the longtime veteran Robin Lopez at the five. So, again, I'm not expecting huge things for the Bulls. I think they're going to be in the running with teams like the Knicks, Sacramento.
The race for number one.
The race for number one is on without any need to tank at this point because that's just how bad the rosters are.
You can play ball. You can really play ball and still wind up getting the number one.
You don't have to substitute anybody out for either one of these two teams. It's going to be that bad. It really is.
Yeah, it's good. It's a shit show.
So, real quick, Oakland Raiders.
Right.
If anybody's been following.
Speaking of shit shows.
Shit shows it is. And again, I know I said in our first show we were going to try not to swear, but you can't. You can't not do it, especially when it comes to Mr. John Gruden and the Oakland Raiders. Now,
they have why is John Gruden still here.com.
Yes, I saw that. Why is John Gruden still here.com is the new movement. You know your team is that bad, and you know your fans can't stand your head coach that much when 6 games into the season that online movement has started.
Have you been on the site?
No, I have not been on the site.
They have a counter, right, that tells you how much money he's made since you log on to the site. I was there for like 20 minutes. It was like $250.
That's just sad. So here's the latest thing. Now, anybody that's been following Oakland, whether you root for them or not, if you're a football fan, you don't like seeing this because you're afraid of the fact that it could happen to your team. Now, everybody knows that the Oakland Raiders are going to become the Las Vegas Raiders in a couple of more seasons. That in and of itself is a travesty, but we're not going to get into the logistics of who should be building a stadium, how much Oakland should be putting up, because that's not what we're going to talk about right now. We're going to talk about the state of that team right now. First of all, giving John Gruden the amount of money that Oakland gave him for someone that's been out of coaching for a decade. Now, as far as an analyst goes, Monday Night Football and all those little side jobs he had, pre-draft, especially when it came to quarterback camps and talking to other kids. If you remember, he was talking to Carson Wentz and Goff a couple of years. And he does know what he's talking about in that regard, but you kind of get the feeling he's lost touch with the actual game and with the players as far as the game is involved. You go back to the early part of the year, even before the draft, and they let Crabtree just go. They released Crabtree. Is he a top 10 receiver? No, but he's a pretty decent receiver in my opinion. And he was a key part of that team's success 2 seasons ago when they were in the running for the AFC Championship. You know, if not for Derek Carr getting hurt, they should have been playing New England 2 years ago for the AFC Championship.
They thought Amari Cooper was going to step up, but he just drops nothing.
He drops and he gets hurt a lot.
Yes.
You know, he doesn't stay healthy. He's on the trading block. That's the 2015 first overall pick. The 2016 pick, defensive back Carl Joseph is also rumored to be on the trading block.
What?
Yes. So this is where it gets
safety from West
the
Virginia?
safety. Yes.
Oh my God.
So you have that. You have the fact that they released Derek Johnson, linebacker. Now he came over. He may be old, but he still has it. Okay, this is a man who left KC as a free agent. He's Kansas City's all-time leading tackler. I mean, that says something.
Wait, they just released him?
They just released him. Okay.
Did they just sign him?
They just signed him.
Season?
They did. And then of course everybody knows what they did with Khalil Mack.
Yeah. Here's the question: if you're gonna get rid of all these players, why not sign Khalil Mack? But they, you know what? I read a pretty decent article concerning this, and it said that the Raiders were bottom feeders while he was there.
Yeah.
So when you usually have a premier, excuse me, when you have a premier guy like that, and you have to pay him, it helps, but you don't have to pay the quarterback. And they had already paid the quarterback.
Yeah.
So they were saying there's too much money wrapped up into it. I don't still believe that. If you draft right,
but now if you're also reading, it seems like Gruden doesn't like what he sees in Carr. Now Carr does seem to have taken a couple of steps back since that injury
on the field.
He was
tears this past week.
Crying. You know what? I'm going to show my age right now. I'm going to quote Tom Hanks, League of Their Own. There is no crying in ball.
There's no crying.
There's no crying.
The leg is falling off. Joe Theismann wasn't crying when Lawrence Taylor broke his leg through his skin.
He was screaming though.
He wasn't. You saw his bone.
But yeah, that whole team is just a mess. And you know what? The organization has always been a mess. If you go back to before their recent success, they drafted poorly. They signed over-the-hill free agents left and right.
They drafted Sebastian Janikowski in the first round.
Who drafts a kicker in the first round?
He was a great kicker.
He was a great kicker, but you don't draft a kicker in the first round.
Oh, my God. That was so stupid.
Look, they just make bonehead decisions left and right. And you know what? People of Vegas, I hope you're ready because the silver and black is coming. You don't think it should be?
I don't know, but the hockey team, they was there one year and they went to the Stanley Cup Finals.
You know what?
Maybe
ownership is different there.
Yeah.
Okay, and you also have to understand when you have an expansion team, you have an expansion draft. So they took the best players that they could from the expansion draft. They also drafted well. They signed some key free agents. They spent their money well, and you see what happened.
Yeah.
They did make it all the way to the Stanley Cup championship.
When the Oakland Raiders were over this
we'll see what happens, but I do not foresee anything good for the Oakland Raiders. I actually feel bad, not just for the city of Oakland, but for the fans. This is not, you're losing your team. Why should you see the next couple of years as being bad? You want to at least have some positive memories of this organization, which for a time being looked like it was heading in the right direction. And now it's just hit reverse, it's done. You kind of got to wonder if the front office is doing this purposefully just so it's not as harsh when they leave town. I'm not saying that's the case, but it kind of makes you wonder because some of these moves are head scratches.
You know what? The only reason why I thought about that, because you just brought it up initially, just thinking about it, with you just saying it, it doesn't not make sense. Like, that could be a situation.
Yeah.
But then, if you saw it and you're not a fan of them, then the fans should see it. And I will say this, unlike Redskins fans, Oakland Raider fans are there every single week, and I give you guys props. You and the dog pound of Cleveland, you fans have my respect.
Yep. Well,
I feel for you.
Until next time, as always, he's Dave.
He's Dave.
And this was the Sports Rant. God bless.